Yeah, this game absolutely sucked. I actually am going to need to update the rankings, though, specifically with Brock Bowers, who I came through and I had celebrated saying, oh, this is why I drafted so much Brock Bowers in round 2 of best ball drafts. Oh, this is why Brock Bowers was my tight end 1 before this season, and he's going to make us so much money. And oh my God, this offense is, both these offenses just absolute garbage. We'll talk about both of them. And Cortland Sutton has to get nuked too. Okay, first things first, if we're looking at the quarterbacks, Geno Smith was what? QB 26 in our rest of season ranks. Sure, I'll drop him even lower than that. We'll drop him to QB 31. How about that? You weren't rostering Geno before, you're not rostering Geno after. I don't know. We'll see what the projections look like this next week. But if you have no Geno Smith next week for the Raiders, are the Raiders worse with Kenny Pickett than they are with Geno Smith? Realistically, because let's just look at this together, ladies and gentlemen. Geno Smith is a quarterback that realistically kind of, I don't want to say came from nowhere, but Seattle propped him up from complete irrelevance to where he comes through, and so far this season, what has he done? We haven't been able to pull in the stats yet from on flockfantasy.com from this game, but we have all the other ones. So far this season, he has, coming into this, 11 passing touchdowns to 11 interceptions. He has 0 passing touchdowns and 1 interception in this game. So now he has more interceptions than passing touchdowns so far this season. If you're looking at the adjusted yards per attempt, he's only gone over 8 in 3 separate games this year. I don't know if it's a downgrade to Kenny Pickett. I'm not going to say it's an upgrade. I don't know if it's a downgrade. If Geno misses, I don't know if it impacts my rankings with the rest of these players. Going over and looking at what we have with the running back, there's only one. It's Ashton Jeanty. Coming into this week in our rest of season rankings, which obviously all these are on flockfantasy.com. You can pull them up whenever you want. We had Ashton Jeanty at RB14. Do I feel like we need to move Ashton Jeanty up or down these rankings based off this performance? He comes through. He has 19 carries. He has a bunch of screens that turn into legitimately nothing. He has 5 targets, 3 receptions, 3 receiving yards. One of the targets led to a Geno Smith interception. Jeanty is the exact same player before this game as he was after. Good running back, seeing all the volume in his offense, but at the same time, it's a garbage offense, so you can't be that excited. So, Ashton Jeanty will remain RB14 in my rest of season ranks. Nothing changes there. Wide receivers, freaking Tyler Lockett gets involved. Obviously, you have the big touchdown for, I believe it was Trey Tucker, got called back from the pick from Deonta Thornton. Deonta Thornton also had a massive target downfield that he just dropped. Geno Smith, I know the box score looks horrible and the end result was horrible, but his interception was off Jeanty's hands. His wide receivers were just dropping balls consistently. But none of the receivers here are interesting in Las Vegas. Maybe we had moved up Trey Tucker after the trade with Jacoby Myers. But hell, we had Trey Tucker at wide receiver 47. I guess I'd rather have Alec Pierce over him. I'd rather have Josh Downs over him. I'd maybe rather have Chimera DK. Maybe rather have Matthew Golden. But he's already ranked where you never start Trey Tucker. And then let's move over to freaking Brock Bowers. I thought that he was going to come from the depths, win me an underdog tournament or 2 this year. He came out last week, dropped 40 fantasy points. I ran around on this live stream pretty much butt-ass naked, screaming for everybody to hear, he's back. He's tight end one. For him to come out and do this on Thursday night. Half the time I thought Brock Bowers was getting the ball, I went, oh, crap, no, never mind. That was Michael Mayer. Michael Mayer had 4 targets in comparison to Brock Bowers with 3. Michael Mayer had 3 receptions in comparison to Brock Bowers with 1. Trey McBride's the king tight end. Now, realistically, am I moving Bowers down to A tier? Maybe I should, but I'm a little too emotionally invested. If y'all don't know, I have a bond with Brock Bowers. That's very special. If you go bald in your 20s, which I so very clearly am balding at this point, we are in a group. We are in this together. Brock Bowers and I, we have some difficulties that we have to overcome. Maybe both of us are still handsome as hell, despite the fact that we're balding. But we're in it together. I'm going to keep him in S tier. We can't have him as tight end one. Maybe if you wanted to put McBride in his own S tier but the thing is, coming into this game, Bowers was averaging 17.4 fantasy points per game in comparison to McBride at 16.2. So I'm going to leave him in S tier. Going over to Denver. I don't know what you want to blame it on with Bo Nix. Obviously horrible, but I'm nuking him in the rankings from this. Like, how insane is it? Realistic. We're back. We're back. Thank you, chat. This is the difficulty of life with not having a mic stand. If y'all don't know, I have to hold this microphone for y'all every live stream. But anyway, I think we got to move Bowers down to the bottom of C tier. We had him at the top of C tier before this. But, I'm sorry, Bo Nix. I'm moving Bo Nix down to QB 13. Now, going over to running back, J.K. Dobbins, we had ranked as a clear starting running back that was not going to be used as a receiver. Does anything change from this? No. J.K. Dobbins is very clearly the first and second down running back for the Denver Broncos. He's not going to get used as a receiver. I would assume that R.J. Harvey expands his role as time goes on. R.J. Harvey is the third down running back for this backfield right now. Realistically, coming into this game, Dobbins only averaging 1.5 points more per contest than Harvey. So for me, I have them ranked like back-to-back rest of season. I probably put Dobbins at RB24, R.J. Harvey at RB25. But neither of these players am I ever wanting to start. And honestly, DeAndre Swift belongs in the tier above. Then moving over to what we have with the... Oh, we still have no sound? How the hell do we still have no sound? We definitely have sound. Y'all have to be trolling. Moving over to the wide receivers. Here's something that I got to throw in the towel with in a big time way. Let me pull this up. I wish right after the game, flockfantasy.com already had the stats loaded in, but it's going to take maybe an hour. But if y'all don't know, on the sites, y'all can go over to like player comparison and y'all can just compare guys against each other, right? And you can do it for different time periods. Let's look at Cortland Sutton in comparison to Troy Franklin. And let's go ahead, add on a couple different stats here. Okay. And let's look at the past like 5 weeks. Let's look at weeks 4 through 9. Weeks 4 through 9, these two wide receivers incredibly close. Hell, let's even go weeks 5 through 9. Weeks 5 through 9, Troy Franklin had been averaging more points per game than Cortland Sutton. He had been averaging more targets per game than Cortland Sutton. Sutton had more receptions, more receiving yards. Franklin had more receiving touchdowns. We can look at this just with total stats. 21.9% team target share for Franklin, 1.71 for Sutton. But if you go through and you combine what we just had with Troy Franklin having 9 targets this week, 5 receptions, 40 receiving yards, and the receiving touchdown, in comparison to Cortland Sutton with only 3 receptions and 24 receiving yards. You add that to this, again, like I said, flockfantasy.com doesn't get the stats in right the second that it happens. It's going to take an hour or so. But once they're in, go to the player comparison, and you're going to see that this gap separates even wider. And it'll be a large sample, weeks 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 6 weeks. Like, you can make a strong argument that we need to let go of all priors. And we should have Cortland Sutton ranked behind Troy Franklin. Am I mentally tough enough to do that? Probably not. But they at least belong in the same tier. Like, I think we moved Sutton down to wide receiver 30. And we moved Troy Franklin up to wide receiver 36. And then one more week of Troy Franklin being the wide receiver 1 here in Denver. Franklin officially flips Sutton, because it's trending in that direction. But Sutton's no longer a set it and forget it must start wide receiver. Like, it's almost impossible. I see people in the chat saying wide receiver 30 is way too low on Sutton. What the hell has Sutton been so far this season? Sutton so far this season's been the wide receiver 22 in points per game. You throw in this game where he just scored 5.5 points, he's going to be close to the wide receiver 30 in points per game. And he's trending in the wrong direction doing this. So you can sit here and say like, oh, Cortland Sutton needs to be ranked higher than the wide receiver 30. He's about the wide receiver 30 right now. So Franklin getting steamed up. I think you can make an argument to have Franklin all the way up, honestly, at 32. And honestly, I think we will. I think I'd rather have him over Keenan at this point. The only hesitation I have with Franklin is, like, he is running extremely hot on touchdowns and the yardage numbers aren't exactly there. And then, is there anything to talk about with Evan Ingram? No, Evan Ingram's horrible. He's dust. If he's on your team, cut him. Again, this was a Denver Broncos team that was heavily rumored trying to get a tight end at the trade deadline. They probably should have gone out there and gotten that tight end, but they didn't. But yeah, I mean, this game just freaking sucked. The quarterbacks, like, again, some of those big plays, like the interceptions, were off their wide receivers' hands. Like, I think one of the Bo Nix interceptions literally bounced off Troy Franklin's hands specifically. The Geno interception bounced off Ashton Genty's hands. He had the big drop from Deonta Thornton. And I'm sure I missed things too that also happened. But brutal. Game sucked. Appreciate y'all stopping by, though. Hopefully games on Sunday are a little bit better. Want to remind you, if you haven't already, please go down there, subscribe to the channel, drop a like, appreciate it. And then lastly, of course, if y'all wanted to go out there and check out any of the projections for Sunday, you know where they are. They're on Underdog Fantasy. You know where the link is. It's in the description. It's in the comment section. It's in the live chat. It always is. Code FLOCK will get you $100 out of your account after you play your first 5. And on top of that, you'll get a free Aaron Rodgers pick. Higher, lower, half a total yard as well, which, again, Code FLOCK will get you both those. And you'll get free questions that you can ask us in the live streams. And we're live streaming every single day until Christmas. But I think that's all I got for you, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate you hanging out with us. And really hope we get to see you out in the live stream tomorrow.